and welcome to DareToChangeLife.com. We continue our series of interviews with people that were not content in their lives and had courage to change it through self-love and sense of purpose. Today we have here Mike from New York, and I would like to ask you, Mike, if you could share with us what was your life like before you decided to make changes? How is it now? And what was your big why to go through this uneasy and painful changes?
Thank you, Melanie, for inviting me. For much of my life, I found emptiness, no matter how large my success. As a young boy, I did very well in school, but yet somehow I felt unhappy with my achievements. And as I became older and became a young man, I became enthusiastic to get out into the world and achieve. And it was my thought that by achieving the goals that I set, that I would feel fulfilled. And I achieved many of the goals that I set for myself, but ironically, the fruits of my labor just turned to ashes in my mouth in a very short period of time.
What kind of successes you said you achieved? Like, if you could give us some idea, like what were your achievements that at that time you considered achievements?
To attend university and finish university with a degree, to go on into private industry and apply my skills in the construction and real estate industry. I acquired a lot of money, and I acquired some property and developed some of the property and was able to make some income, and these things I thought were very good, and they made me happy because I felt I was creating something. Eventually I thought perhaps I would need to have somebody to meet and have a relationship with, and this would make me feel fulfilled. And so I began to give myself over to somebody who I fell in love with, and for a short period of time we were happy. Some more time went by and I began to feel unfulfilled again, and I found a lot of comfort in drinking alcohol, in becoming involved in politics, and so the power and the seduction of being able to influence the outcome of certain events through spending time with other people in civic associations and political organizations and professional organizations, and these things cross each other in the life, in the business world as well. And these things made me feel good about myself for a short period of time.
For a lot of people, that would be a big achievement, and they will just live like that for the rest of their lives. But for you, it was not something that would give you fulfillment. So something was bothering you.
No, and the more I achieved, the less fulfilling it became, and I had a need to achieve more and more, but it was becoming more difficult to achieve more, and it came to me that this is unfulfilling and a waste of energy, and it was difficult to sustain. So I began to drink more, and now I'm getting older, and the cycle is spanning 20 years, and I'm getting tired. In 2001, I had what I would call a spiritual awakening, and I was in New York City, and I went down to Ground Zero, and I arrived there about 1:30 in the afternoon, and I worked to help find people that might trapped, and I work to help reestablish the telecommunication systems through fiber optic networks for major corporations and the securities markets and the commodities markets and things like this, the stock exchanges. And while I was down there, the impact of that experience impressed upon me how futile all the things that I had thought was so important was, and I knew that I needed to make some sort of change, but I didn't know what that change would be or how it would develop and where it would lead me. And so within a short time after my experience there, I quickly went back to the way I was living, but never forgot that experience, and I think my journey began there at that time.
So where are you now? And how do you feel about not having stuff in your life as much as you
Okay.
had before?
Well, this is what happened subsequent to my exposure at Ground Zero. Over a period of time, became sick. I had problems breathing through my nose and breathing into my lungs. And so the doctors gave me steroid medications and bronchial dilators, and they gave me nasal sprays and steroids like prednisone and many courses of antibiotics. And this would give me some short-term relief for a number of months, but then I would relapse and become sick again. They would give me new medications or stronger medications, and then I was okay for a while, and then I would relapse again. And this pattern went on for a number of years until it became impossible for me to have the strength to exert the amount of energy necessary to support the lifestyle that I had been living, and I was no longer able to work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, which was not unusual for me to do. And so my sense, my identity of who I was started to melt away in front of me because my health began to crumble, so I could no longer do the things that I used to do. And this became very traumatic for me as well. And so I subsequently began to lose things because I couldn't afford to keep them anymore. I eventually lost my health, I lost my ability to do my job, so I wasn't able to work. I lost my home. Subsequently, I lost my marriage. My relationship with my children and my family members became very strained, and I ended up in a place where I was very alone and isolated. And at that time, I was forced to really begin to look inward as opposed to searching outward, where I used to judge everything I see, judge people, and judge the events, and use those events and those people to say that is the reason why I feel the way I feel, and now I know this is no longer true. And I had to go through that, I believe, to discover that I'm the only person responsible for how I feel, and I can choose how I feel if I make up my mind that I can say things are very, very bad, or I can say things are good, and I can empower myself is the only place. And then I begin to feel good because I empower myself by saying I'm the person who I will get what I need from. It's inside of me. In other words, I always looked outside myself for fulfillment.
Find fulfillment.
And all along I was looking outside until I could no longer find anything outside myself that would do the job. And through a process of elimination, I knew this was not the case in 2001, but still I would not look in. And then all the things that I had that I thought were important disappeared one by one until I was left by myself, and I was forced to look inward. And fortunately, the this was the outcome for me, that I was able to see that if I was to begin to appreciate myself and know that I'm a good person, no matter what anybody else says, or thinks, or does, then I can begin to feel good about myself, and I don't need the approval or the
external fulfillment.
I do not. I don't need the good words of other people to feel good about myself. So now I know if somebody is saying something, maybe they are having a bad day, and it really has nothing to do with me whatsoever.
That's great. So in some odd way, your misfortune, your dramatic experiences with your health, with your business, with your family, somehow propelled you to be where you are right now. So triggered your decision to look inward, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. At the time, I thought it was the worst thing in the world that was happening to me. That I felt like Job in the Bible. What else could go wrong next? And as things began to get worse and worse, I just was losing, my mind, saying, what next? Like, isn't this enough? And eventually, when I was left with no place left to turn, I turned inward and looked. And that's where I found what some people call God, other people call like the spirit in the sky, the grand architect, whatever love, whatever it is that you want to use to express this thing that you know is there, but you can't touch and hold. You can feel it, but you can't hold it. If you understand what I mean. So this thing is what I found, and it comes from inside me. I can't find it outside me.
Do you feel that you are very fortunate to be where you are?
Oh, I feel like the luckiest man in the world today, without a doubt. And it's a paradox. It's paradoxical, for sure. I feel very, very lucky. And I know that as long as I continue to stay in this direction, that all good things will come, bad things will come, crazy things may happen, wonderful things may happen, but I will be able to stay centered on the being and feel good about myself, and maybe be able to help other people feel good about themselves too, which paradoxically makes me feel even better. That's the key, to be able to serve and help other people. That's what lets it out. So I had to go in myself to find what I had always been looking for outside myself. And now to keep what is inside myself, I must give it outside to whoever I meet that I can help. It's paradoxical, but that's how I see it.
Congratulations. I think you're in an incredible place in life right now. And I think you probably would be inspiration for a lot of people just hearing your story. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that we're going to continue this series of interviews with some incredible people, and I invite you to visit our website, daretochange.life.com, and see more of this kind of interviews and read our blog. Thank you again for watching, and take care.